and welcome everyone. I am Friar Tuck and this is my Epoch. So I know that I'm starting about 3 minutes early, and so what I'm doing is just giving everybody a chance to go ahead and get in. And and just to let you guys know, I'm also doing this in a public place. So being in a public place, you tend to I have to cancel out the noise, and I have to do those types of things to be able to make it to where the sound is decent. So if for some reason there is a little bit of a cutout, it is because of the noise cancellation. I am trying to be as loud as I can without having much of a pause in my words. Now, I do have some exciting things coming up today. It is something that I'm hoping that you guys will enjoy. If you have not gotten your cup of coffee, part of today's live stream is going to be everybody getting a cup of coffee so that we can enjoy a morning sunrise. So I woke up this morning, about 4:15 in the morning, so that I could walk down to the waterfront and catch the morning sunrise. And so I managed to capture that. And I wanted to go ahead and give you guys an opportunity to enjoy a morning sunrise. It was a beautiful sunrise this morning. I truly enjoyed it, and I hope that you enjoy it as well. So I know that it's going to take a few minutes for people to get in here, which is why I start a little bit early. And again, if you are watching this if you're watching this at a later time as far as the replay, go ahead and skip forward about 3 or 4 minutes, and then you will get into the actual live stream. Right now I am just going to go ahead and let my landing screen go, and that way, for those of you that are just coming into the live stream, just get prepared, make sure that you have your morning cup of coffee ready to go. Good morning, everyone. As you can see, we finally got some light coming in here, so my video isn't so grainy. I have chosen a new place to do my live stream in hopes that it's going to cut back on the echo and the background noise. It seems like around this time on a weekend, places get really busy, but I know that a lot of you guys work, and so on the weekends may be your only time where you have the opportunity to go back and watch a live stream. So I may, and I want to hear some feedback from you guys in the comments, whether you're watching this post live stream or whether you're watching this during the actual live stream. I would like to know, do you think I should do this during the week? And if I do it during the week, I will have to do it early in the morning. Doing it later in the day is really not doable for me at this point, just because of certain restrictions that I have with the place in which I am staying. So I would love to hear your guys' feedback on that. So if you've got your morning cup of coffee, let's go ahead and enjoy my morning sunrise. If you skipped ahead, or if you're just coming in now, just to kind of let you guys know what's going on, I woke up at about 4:50 in the morning and walked down to the waterfront so that I could catch the morning sunrise. And I decided to record it and tell a little bit of a story, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about it because, if you guys don't know, I'm staying at the Chattanooga Rescue Mission for the time being. I should be moving on here by the end of August, and then I may not have the same restrictions. I'm going to be in a new area. You guys have heard me talk about it a little bit, and so with that being said, let's go ahead and get our morning cup of coffee and enjoy a beautiful, beautiful. Hi and welcome everyone. I am Friar Tuck and this is my Epoch. I don't know if you're aware of what the front porch is and how important the front porch is in society, but I'm going to be talking about that today. I thought I would share a sunrise with you this morning, and then that way you can see some of the beauty that is here in Chattanooga. So I'm down here by the river and I am enjoying a nice little sunrise. So grab your cup of coffee and let's have a talk. Okay, so the front porch is significant because back in the day, before technology, before the world started speeding up, our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, they would sit out on the front porch. And sitting out on the front porch, they would be able to see the people that were walking through the neighborhood. It offered them some sort of neighborhood security. It offered them all kinds of different things. And they would also have a sense of community because they would be able to talk to their neighbors as they were walking up and down the street, whether they were walking their dog or walking with their wife, or just taking a walk around the block just to kind of get out and communicate with the neighbors. Because before social media, this is how we communicated. And this offered a lot of security to the neighborhood, and it also created a sense of community, because as you walk through, you see John and Jill and Jack and Hugo, and you see all these different individuals, and you stop because they're sitting there on their front porch and they're having a conversation with you, and you see what's going on with them, they see what's going on with you, and it kind of lets the whole neighborhood know what's going on. Hey, had a death in the family, or hey, I got a new job, or hey, I got a guest that's staying over, my parents are coming by for the week, so if you see them, don't be alarmed, things like that. And that's the great thing about the front porch. Well, you guys know that I stay at the Chattanooga Rescue Mission for right now, and one of the staff members, he's kind of like one of the upper management of the rescue mission. He has started recently bringing in coffee at night because he works till about 10 o'clock, and so right before lights out, maybe right after chapel, he goes in and he brews up a pot of coffee. And at first it started off with a half a pot of coffee and then a full pot, and then within a couple of days he is now brewing 2 pots of coffee at once. Now you might think that that's a little funny, and I think it's a little bit funny, because what I started doing is I started going around and telling everybody, hey, guess what, there's coffee, and letting everybody know, hey, if you want a cup of coffee, go into the office and there's a fresh cup of coffee, because being out here, a cup of coffee can sometimes be the difference between a good day and a bad day. Well, last night, after kind of seeing the fruition of how everything came about, I got to see our own little version of community, our own little version of the front porch, because I've gone around and advertised and talked about how there was a cup of coffee. Now you've got a group of guys that are congregating around the coffee pot and out in the hallway having conversations, getting to know each other and having conversations and catching up with each other. This is a way for some of the new people to get acclimated and to come into the community, and it's also a way for those that have been there for a while to just kind of commingle with others that are there and enjoy a cup of coffee and smoke and joke and have a good time. And so for about an hour and a half every night, we all get to congregate around our proverbial front porch. And I keep trying to explain to the group of what the significance of it is, and that what we're doing is we're forming a sense of community, and how important it is to have a sense of community even within the homeless community. And it seems to be working well. One guy decided to do something, another guy decides to tell everybody else about it, and in the as the cause and effect and the end result,
now we're building stronger bonds with each other, because we all live out here together, and we all see each other in passing. And when you get to know somebody on something more than a superficial level, you have the ability to stop and say hi and see how they're doing, make sure that their well-being is taken care of, because we have deaths out here, and it does affect the community from time to time. Some guy overdosed on fentanyl, and he also drank some some hand sanitizer, and so apparently it was the fentanyl that actually did him in, but the hand sanitizer didn't help. And so this being able to have that sense of community will operates in a positive manner, because think about it. I mean, really think about it. If you're able to be there to have that conversation with somebody, that could be the difference between them, thinking it's the end of the world because they're all by themselves. Nobody wants to be there. Nobody wants to help them. Nobody even cares that they exist, to going to a point to where they have a sense of community, that they have a sense of belonging, and now they can they can actually have positive interactions. And this will go a long way into repairing a lot of the negativity that we face out here, whether you're a traveler, whether you're homeless, or whether you regardless of what it is that you are what it is that you are experiencing and the path that you're on. So I thought I would share this with you on a good sunset. I mean, that is beautiful. Look at those colors. And as you can see, people are crossing the bridge. So I am going to show you a little bit more footage now that towards the end of the video, if I'm not able to stay for the full sunset, because I mean sunrise, because the sunrise takes a while to it takes a while to come up. So this is my epic journey. There are times when you get pieces of beauty where you take a moment out of your day and you decide to go out and enjoy something as simple as a sunrise, and watch the beautiful colors in the sky, and just kind of watch the city wake up. Sometimes you need to do that just to remind yourself that you still are part of civilization, and let the world kind of get a slow start, because the world moves so fast now that if we don't take time to slow down and take a deep breath and really take in what it is and the beauty that this planet gives us. I mean, we live on a beautiful planet. So you guys know how to help out the channel. Become a subscriber. If you haven't hit the notification bell, hit the notification bell. I'm going to talk about various subjects, some about technology, some about my journey, some about philosophy, and some about prepping. But this is all part of my epic journey that I am on to find myself again. So if you want to join in my adventure, I strongly invite you, and I look forward to reading your comments down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you want to help out the channel in other ways, you can go down in the description. There are various ways in which you can help out the channel outside of just becoming a subscriber and hitting that like button and leaving a comment. So thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy this extra footage and some of the pictures I took this morning.
Hi, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me. It looks like I've got one person here who is, if you'd say hi in chat, that way I know who's here and I can say hi to you. Anyways, good morning everybody. I hope you enjoyed the sunrise. I hope you enjoyed the little bit of a story. I thought it was appropriate for this morning for many reasons. Just I don't know. I've been wanting to catch the sunrise. If you guys remember when I posted, when I first got here to Chattanooga, I posted a bunch of pictures as I was crossing the bridge. And, I thought, what, it's about time, since I'm taking a few days to myself. I kind of needed to rebalance myself a little bit, have some personal time, and really, think about myself and kind of, sometimes you have to be selfish in order to, I guess, in order to be able to balance yourself. You spend a lot of time, working for others and doing for others. And something my old man taught me a long time ago is, you should take a few minutes every day, or a specific amount of time throughout the week, just for yourself, Otherwise, you end up losing yourself, whether it be in your job or whether it be in the people that you're surrounded with or in the things in which you do. And so I thought it was important to take a few days to myself and kind of rebalance myself, go out and enjoy the wonderful things that Chattanooga has to offer, because really Chattanooga is a absolutely beautiful city. And I really, really enjoy it here. I've got a couple of videos coming out this week. One of them is going to be talking about device security. So if you are on either a Windows machine, Apple machine, or you are on a Linux machine, it doesn't matter what your operating system is. There are some basic things that you as an individual need to really think about when operating on the internet. And just to kind of set the stage for next week, because I also talk about the benefits of Linux, why you would want Linux, and with the new economy and that topic that you guys have seen me talk about, that is one of that is kind of the drum that I am pounding at this point in time. And so there's been, if you guys watch George Gammon, I really like him when it comes to economics, because he really explains it in a full-on technical 1, 2, or 3-step process. And I find him to be very very informative. And one of the things that he reminded us of, or reminded me of, that I kind of already knew, but sometimes things, it really doesn't click, it doesn't really pop into your head, you know what I mean. And so one of the things he was saying is, if it's free, it's not necessarily free. You are the product. So let's use Facebook. So I had a talk with one of the people last night that runs the Chattanooga Rescue Mission. And we were talking about the fact that the system that they're using for their desktop environment. And I'm not gonna divulge it just for their own privacy and security. But we got into talking about social media and the fact that it's free, and what the benefits and what the drawbacks are. Just like when you surf in the internet, you have this false sense of security that it is secure. Go into a website, you think that website is secure, but not necessarily, because there are vulnerabilities, whether it be just not fully understanding your vulnerabilities, because you haven't been attacked that way, or just maybe laziness, or just not doing a complete product, or relying on third-party software to be able to do it for you, and that third-party software leaves vulnerabilities. So when you surf the web, you could get malware even though you're not downloading anything. You're not surfing adult websites. You're kind of just going on there to check your email, to do business on your bank account, or even just do research like I do for my videos. Before I come and I talk about a topic, I go and I educate myself on it, like any good content creator would do. And to know that in my browser and the type of browser that I'm using, temporary files that are being stored in my machine, just because the website and the internet may not have been properly secured, or they just were not aware of certain vulnerabilities, now my machine becomes vulnerable. And I have malware that gets on my machine. And when I saw that, when that was pointed out to me, shown to me, it really made me nervous, and it also kind of frustrated me a little bit, because when you sit back and you see that, you're thinking, well, I'm being as safe as I possibly can be on the internet. I'm doing everything that I possibly can do to be safe, but apparently there are still things that I'm not doing. So this is why I talk about device security, and that's going to be the first video that comes out this week. So just a reminder, guys, I am in a public place. What you're hearing is not the customers, you're hearing the employees. So if you guys hear that, I do apologize. But this is still much quieter than where I have been for the last couple of weeks. So getting back on topic, just thinking about what it is that you do out there, the way that we use our machines nowadays. If we're not taking the time to educate ourselves, if we're not taking the time to really know what it is that we're doing, we're leaving ourselves vulnerable. We're taking the things that are probably the most important to us, such as our financial house and just our personal privacy. And we're just kind of advertising it out for just about anybody who has a reasonable amount of skill to be able to harvest that data. And this brings me back to social media and how we're using social media. So with social media, because you are the product, what ends up happening is as you click around, and so you're looking at things. Let's just use Facebook for an example. As you go through and you scroll through your news feed in Facebook, what they're doing is they are looking at your psychology. They are trying to understand how it is that you think, what inspires you, what is important to you, and those types of things. And so then what they do in turn is they go out to these companies and they say, well, we have all these users that come on and that use our platform, and they use our platform, and we know what they think, and we know the people that are going to be interested in the product, and so they sell access to you because you're using a free platform. And us being a capitalist society, they now have to use whatever means possible to be able to make money. So now they generate this ad revenue, because in order to get these companies to keep coming back and to spend money, they have to be able to produce sales. As a business owner, the last thing that you're going to do is throw money into advertising and not get a return on your investment. If you're going to spend $100 on advertising, and you're a smart individual and very savvy in what it is that you do, you're going to want to get at least $1,000 or $700 at minimum as a return on an investment, because that is a good advertising product. Now, if you're spending $100 and you're getting $200 and $300, yes, on one sense that is a good return, but it's not nearly something that you want to sink a lot of money into. There are a lot of different ways in which you can get a higher return on your investment as far as advertising. And so, somebody like Facebook, it is in their best interest to really dive down and to really dig deep into how you think, what inspires you, what posts are you liking, what posts are you commenting on, what is it what are you looking for when you go on there. Google does this, YouTube does this, Facebook does this. All of these different platforms do it, and there's nothing wrong with it. There isn't anything wrong with it, okay? Because this is business, and you're using their platform for free, and this is the cost, the price that you are paying in order to use this platform. Now, there is a new thing, and this is what George Gammon was talking about, and this is why I'm getting into this. But there is this new company out there, and the founder of this company is a member of the Bilderberg Group and the World Economic Forum, and it's something called an orb. So they're using biometrics. Oh, hey, Bushcraft, nice to see you. This is a complete 180 from. Yes, it is. But the thing is I had to change the direction for multiple reasons, and I'll get into that towards the end of this. And but I do want to get back on this subject real quick. So with George Gammon, what he was talking about is that there's this guy who's a member of the Bilderberg Group and the World Economic Forum, and he got a company out there that is getting your biometrics to be able to get access to your financial information, right? And what he's doing is he's actually compensating people. So something like a universal basic income could be sponsored out of this. So instead of the government giving you money for doing nothing, as what a lot of people would like to say, I think maybe in the future universal basic income is going to be something that is done with is going to be something that is going to be done on a private level. Because if you look at Chicago and Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and there's a couple other cities that are doing it, they're doing universal basic income, but it's actually being privately funded. And so in order to be able to get this universal basic income, your data, your information, your person is, you're selling yourself off. You, in so many ways, you are putting a price on your head as far as what it is that you as an individual are worth. So are you worth $900 a month? Are you worth $2,000 a month? What are you worth? What is the data that they can harvest from you and get from you? What is that worth? to them, and what is that worth to you? And this is something that I'm seeing come out of I don't know. It seems to be just doing it on its own in so many ways. And I think that we, as a society, this is why it's important for your device to be secure. This is why it's important to keep your privacy as much as possible. You use something like Google Chrome, it's a Google product, and Google is one of the largest search engines. And so by you using their product, because it's free, they are able to look at the websites you search for. They are able to look at what it is, like when you're inspired to do something, what is it that you look for? What are the search terms that you so on and so forth? And this helps them, build a more valuable product to corporations that want access to you and to your eyes and to you as a human being. And so this is why it's important that we choose the right browser for our surfing, something that isn't going to store our data, something that is not going to be sharing our data, something that allows us to be able to have privacy. Because I think in the future, in the way, as you hear, you'll own nothing and be happy. Well, you won't even own your body, and it's getting to that point right now with the way that they're harvesting data and collecting it, that you technically don't really own even yourself, because you have sold yourself to the lowest bidder by taking the free stuff and then letting them just constantly bombard you with advertisements. Now, there is going to be a cause and effect of all of this, in the sense that that there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to be burned out on this, just like they're burned out on TV. So I'm part of Gen X, and Gen X was kind of raised on the TV, being latchkey kids, having the TV become our babysitter, things like that was part of our generation. To the point is we as a generation, when we see advertisements, our brains are naturally shutting that out, because we've been exposed to it for so long, that now that they're having to figure out new mediums, new ways to be able to get to us. And the millennials are being exposed to it even more than we were as Gen Xers. Okay, so this is something that we as individuals really need to be conscious about. And if you are going to end up being put in a position for your own survival, that you may end up having to sell yourself as the product, you should at least be able to collect the highest possible price for it. Because somebody like Google or MSN or any of these platforms like YouTube, they're going to charge the highest amount that they can possibly charge, so that they can make the most amount of profit. And so we as an individual, we need to start looking at the things that we do in the digital realm as our own business. We are our own business. In so many ways, we are self-employed. Now, I know that this may be a little bit hard to wrap your head around this, and to get to your question that you said, bushcraft, you're saying that it's a 180, and this is what I was talking about. If you watch my last video that I released on Thursday, when I first started out, I started talking about prepping. And I would talk about news articles and current events and kind of what you should do to be prepared. But then me and my old man, we butt heads, and I needed to have my own space and go my own direction, because I'm an independent soul. I don't play well with others. I never really have, as much as I've tried. And so with that being said, I spent about $3,000 on gear. I bought a bike. I started on the southern tier. Realized I did not like biking very much. And so then what I did is I ended up trading in my bike for a backpack, and taking some gear that I could trade for. And then I started a road walk that turned into a trail walk, because I was going to walk from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way up to the Appalachia Trail, and just start the Appalachia Trail. Well, as I'm going along, I realize, and I intersect with the Florida Trail, and I'm like, well, let me try this and get myself prepared for the Florida Trail. Well, what ends up happening is, and then I get on the Florida Trail, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just do the Eastern Continental Trail, which is the Florida Trail, the Alabama Road Walk, the Pinhoti, and then the Appalachia Trail. Well, I did the Florida Trail, I did the Alabama Road Walk, I did most of the Pinhoti, But then, if you guys remember, I stopped on trail to get some work so I could have some money to kind of push me along on the trail. And what ended up happening was not only did I get stiffed by an employer, but I got food poisoning, and that food poisoning did a huge number to my insides. Part of me spending 10 days in the hospital was because of how sick I had gotten. And I had a choice. Either I went out on trail and run the risk of, possibly losing my life because I would have gotten so sick I couldn't have moved. I wouldn't have been able to hydrate myself, and I would have been absolutely miserable, and it would have put me at risk for other things, or go to the hospital and just do what is necessary to be able to get to take care of myself. Well, when I got out of the hospital, because they wouldn't drop me out on trail so that I could continue on the trail, they dropped me at the nearest shelter, which happened to be Chattanooga. I had a choice between Atlanta, Georgia, which I'm like, no, I will never go to Atlanta, and Chattanooga, and so I chose Chattanooga. Well, when I get here, I meet some people just like I meet people along my travels, and we started talking, and we decided, well, maybe we want to do an adventure. And there are, he's able to teach me some things, and I'm able to learn a new point of view. And then, on top of all that, with me being sick, it's going to be a while before I can get back out on trail, okay? Because I need to allow my body the time to recover and the time to kind of put itself back together. Because I did about 1,500 miles, maybe more, maybe less. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't log my miles. I know that I did about 1,000 miles of the Florida Trail. I know that the Alabama Roadwalk is 200 miles, and then the Pinhoti is 350 miles, and I was less than 100 miles away from the end of the trail. And then I would have had like another 50 to 75 miles to get to Springer Mountain to start the Appalachian Trail. But then again, I would have been starting the Appalachian Trail later in the year than I should have, and I would have had to flip up to Katahdin and work my way back. Well, I'm, with all these different things that are around, I really started looking at it and going, okay, well, I call myself the hobo prepper. Am I really a prepper? Yes, I am, but I'm also doing many other things on top of just prepping. I'm hiking, I'm traveling, I'm learning new skills, I'm watching the world evolve in front of me, and I'm bringing this information to you guys as a people. As my subscribers, as the people that are my viewers, and watch the content that I produce. And so I had to sit there and really look at it. Am I really a prepper, or am I doing something different? And when doing my research and just kind of trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? What do I call myself? What is the content in which I'm providing? And I realized that in so many ways, if you look back in history, like Homer's Iliad or the Odyssey, they are is epic journeys. An individual starts off in one point and ends up in a completely different point in which they grow, they evolve, they learn, they become a completely different person at the other end of that tunnel. And that's kind of where I'm at. I realized that, I started off with prepping, then I went to traveling, and then I went to on bike, and then I went to hiking. And now that I'm sick, now I'm having to learn, because I'm going to have to support myself through the winter. I'm not making enough money on YouTube to be able to put a roof over my head. If I want a roof over my head, I have to go to a shelter, and I don't want to be in a shelter for the rest of my life. I do want to be able to have a constant roof over my head, whether it be a hotel room, and and doing like one of those extended stays for a few months before I get out on the road, in case the weather gets different, or I got slowed down because I got sick so many times along the trail. I kept getting infections, things like that, and that slowed me down on the trail. And so I really, again, I had to really reevaluate the type of content in which I'm sharing. And so with that being said, I'm gonna have to find some sort of work. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to support myself, because again, I don't want to just be outside all the time. I've been doing this October of last year. Okay, so that means I'm coming up on almost a year being on the road. and I'm getting wore out, I'm getting exhausted, and I want to kind of have a time of rest. I need a time of rest. And so again, this is why I chose to rename the channel and kind of not necessarily change the direction, but redefine the direction in which I'm on. Because again, I'm going to get it back on trail eventually because I liked being on trail. It was fun. I find the city to be too loud. It is too much for me. And being in a compact area in so many ways, it raises my anxiety. I like being out in nature. I like being out on trail. But I can't live on trail and have a long, fruitful life like I would like to, especially with the health issues that I've had. Because you got to realize that we as a society, since we have gotten indoors with heating and cooling, we're not as we can't acclimate to the elements like we used to. We also, as our ancestors, they traveled. Okay, so acclimating to the weather, hunting and gathering, and going out and getting our own food. We may go out there and do it, and get a couple of tags, but can you go out there and hunt enough food for yourself to be able to support you and your family for a year? Can you grow enough food to be able to support you and your family for a year? And the average American can't, because either we're in a city, we don't have enough land, and in reality, if the whole world were to, if the whole United States, if all of a sudden the whole supply chain broke down and we had to go out and forage for our food, there would only be enough food out in the forest for us as far as the animals. We would kill them all off within 30 days to 90 days. There wouldn't be a single animal left because we would go out there and we would forage, and there's just not enough. There's too many of us and not enough of them, where we wouldn't be able to survive as a species. Mass starvation, which would probably lead to cannibalism, which would just lead down a really bad road. Okay, so I can understand that the road can beat you up pretty bad. There were a few times I wish I had wished for a roof. You remember I spent 10 years on the road. Oh, I do not remember that, but now that you've reminded me of that, I will make sure to kind of put that in my brain. Part of having brain damage is that my short-term memory really isn't that good. And so, like, even when there's things that I'm being taught, it's like I get it, I do it, but unless I do it 4 or 5 times, it doesn't really stick in my brain. And like 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, I may forget it just because of how much my short-term memory is affected by the brain damage that I got. I don't know, it's almost 50 years ago now. It still seems like yesterday to me, but I've been dealing with this for quite some time. And spending a long time on the road wears your body out. Our ancestors didn't live past 45 to 55, especially those that were that repetition will have. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, repetition does work, Andrew. Our ancestors didn't live long because of nature. Nature is beautiful, but nature is also hostile. I think that's part of the beauty of nature, is because it is constantly, it's in a constant state of rebirth. Things get destroyed. You go and you burn down a forest. Then here comes the mosquitoes to repollinate, which then brings in other pollinators, and those pollinators then bring back the flora and the fauna, and then it grows up and then it burns down again, and this is just like the constant cycle of nature. If you watch how our planet has evolved, we started off with dinosaurs, and the planet has evolved to humans. And what is the next evolution after humans? Or are humans the last stage of evolution for a planet? Because everything is evolving. Us, the planet, the animals, the plants, everything is evolving, because if you do not evolve to meet the new needs and the new challenges of the future, you will not survive. And this is, again, why I've kind of meshed prepping and just being on an epic journey to kind of change who I am and to come out the other side as a different person. This is why I talk about the new economy in the way that I'm talking about it, is that in the new economy, we have to evolve. In the 1850s, when we had the Industrial Revolution, where we had the factories, we needed hundreds and thousands of workers to go in there and to run these factories. Well, now we've got robots that all we have to do is write a piece of software that operates on machine language, and it will go and do the work of 500 men. So now all of a sudden you have these billions of people, but you only need maybe 20% of the overall population, now that we've evolved to the point of advanced robotics, advanced circuitry, and artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is doing some of the menial jobs that we either don't want to do, can't do, or just haven't just don't do anymore. Okay. And with that being said, what is it that you are going to do as an individual to evolve and to meet the new needs of the new workforce that is coming forward? That's why I'm talking about Linux, because the Roomba that you use uses a Linux kernel. The GPS you use in your car uses a Linux kernel. The coffee machine that you use to brew your coffee every morning, that uses a Linux kernel. It's not just push a button and it turns on. When you push that button, it starts a script, which then in machine language tells that machine what to do. And if you with Linux, it is a developer's and an administrator's type of platform. It's not meant for everybody. I mean, everybody can use it. There are end user type of platforms such as Red Hat or Mint, or there's another one out there. Mint is more for the ladies because it was designed for ladies and the way that ladies think, which that fascinated me. That's why I remember that one. But with that being said, are you going to evolve to meet the needs of the new workforce? Are you going to get a platform? Because Linux, not only because it's on everything, and it is a very light operating system, which means it's not, unlike Windows, it's not going to load everything into your hardware. So it doesn't matter how much hardware you buy and how great your hardware is, it's going to be bogged down, because instead of just loading what it needs and letting you configure it on your own, like what Linux does, it just loads everything, and then your machine's bogged down. And then not only that, with computers and with technology, you really have to worry about heat, because heat causes it to break down much quicker. And so, as you load everything in there, now all of a sudden your machine is heating up, which then means that it's going to have a shorter lifespan, and all this for the ease of use of a simplistic operating system, such as Windows or Mac or some of these other paid platforms. Whereas with Linux, you're going to be able to. It requires that you learn how to configure the machine. It requires a specific learning curve. It may be under a general public license, which means that it's free, but also at the same time, you as a person, your price is education. But then, since everything else runs on Linux, then you've got career opportunities that will allow you the opportunity to make a lot of money to be able to administer something that you've been learning to play around with. Okay, so now all of a sudden that factory that has robots putting things together, they need somebody to come in there and administer it, because machines are going to break down. There's going to be errors in the code, because the machine itself is perfect, but the person who writes the code is flawed. And with those flaws that are naturally and inherent in the system, that means that there needs to be somebody that can read that code, fix that code, administer the machines, make sure the machines are communicating properly. Sometimes, if it's operating on wires like in a network, well, then you got to go and replace the wires every so often, because as the data goes through, that's conducting heat, and it slowly breaks down those wires to where you got to go and replace those wires. And so therefore that requires a more educated individual to be able to administer and maintain these products. And if you don't have a college education, if you don't take the time to actually understand technology and to learn all of this, you're going to be left behind, and you're going to be one of those people out there that the World Economic Forum and all of these elite groups call useless eaters. And because in a lot of ways you are a useless eater, even though it sounds cruel and it sounds demeaning. If you're not taking the time to evolve, well, nature is about survival of the fittest. This world is about survival of the fittest, and it doesn't just mean physically fit. It also means being fit in the mind. And if you're not fit in the mind, then you're not going to you're not going to survive. And we've gotten to a point where we no longer need the physical stamina like what we needed 50 and 100 years ago, where you did hard menial labor that broke down your body, and then by the time you were 50 you could barely walk, and you had to go to the doctor all the time and get this long list of medications just to be able to have a semi-comfortable life. To now, you take the time and you build up your mind. You take the time and you build up your mind. Well, now you're building that muscle, and that muscle is going to be the muscle of the future. You and I and the average person needs to take the time to develop. Because we've already developed our physical muscles. You can go to the gym and you can get ripped and you can get buff, and you don't need to go out there and move rocks and shatter rocks with a pickaxe, and you don't need to lay rail, and you don't need to go out there and wrestle cattle. So instead, you now have to use a different muscle, and that is the muscle up here. Okay, and that is really why I have changed the channel and talking about what I'm talking about, because it's still prepping. To be a prepper means that you are preparing for the future. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're preparing for doomsday. Preparing for doomsday is something that is going to happen in such a slow degradation that it becomes like a boiling frog effect. And you and we're not really going to know exactly, when it happens. It's just going to happen one day, and we're just going to look around. Like if you look back 50 years ago, what was the world like 50 years ago, and what is it like today? 50 years ago, they would have called this SHTF, but now we call this everyday life, okay? And in another 50 years, what is it going to be like? Now, if there becomes like a nuclear war because all the superpowers get into a fight, one of them starts to lose, one of them decides to throw nukes, you see what I'm saying? So we can't prepare for that. I mean, we can to a degree, but there is so much more to be prepared for. Because our society, our environment, our world is changing at such a rapid pace because of the introduction of technology, that if we don't prepare on this realm, in this level, then we, as an individual, as a human being, will be left behind, and then we will become known as a useless eater. And then people will look at us and go, well, you can't get a job because you don't want to educate yourself, and therefore you expect me to pay for you. Which is the same thing you hear a lot of preppers talk about. I don't want to pay for somebody else. I can barely pay for myself. So why should I have to pay for him to live if I can barely live myself? And this is just something that we as a society are going to have to evolve into. And it just requires a new form of preparation, which is why I'm talking about this. So in some ways, yes, this is a prepping channel, but this is more about my epic journey. This is more about how I started off in one direction, and I started off with one set of knowledge, and the amount of growing and repairing, because I mean, I lost my business, and that messed me up mentally for quite some time. And I'm just now getting to a point where I'm over the loss of my business. I mean, it's like losing a child, because you put so much time and effort and energy into that business that when it goes away, the death of it it is a huge loss, and it has a psychological toll on a person. And so over the last almost year that I've been traveling and doing what I'm doing, I'm getting to a point to where I'm now getting myself mentally straight. I'm now coming out of that stupor and getting that drive back that I once had when I owned my business, because I no longer feel defeated, because instead of looking at the world as falling apart, I'm seeing the opportunities, the new opportunities. And right now, if you and I and all these viewers that watch this content decide to get ahead on all of this, we will beat the rush so that we will be able to maximize not only our lifestyle, our quality of life, but the money that we make and our position within that hierarchy. Because those that were programming in the 80s and 90s, they're now not only aging out, but those are the ones that created all the technology that we have today. And who's going to create all the technology that we have of tomorrow? Is it going to be the 20 and 30-year-olds today, or are we going to rely on the old dogs that created it, but never, and then just kind of just figured, oh well, we'll just leave it alone? No, each generation is going to create its new It's new addition to this technology, and if you're not adapting to it, if you're not becoming part of it, then you are going to be left behind, and you are going to be in a worse position. And as a prepper, as someone who prepares for whether it be the end of the world or just the changing world, if you're not prepared for this, then you're going to be caught with your pants down. And how pleasant is that going to be? I mean, sit back and ponder this for a minute. Think about what the world is going to be like in 20 years with technology. Now, you might go, well, I'm retired, or I'm nearing the age of retirement, or I'm in my 50s, I got 10 years left, what do I care? I've already gotten everything I want. But here's the thing. Is Social Security going to be around by the time that you retire, or are you going to have to work? Did you manage to get a good enough job and to put enough away so that when it comes to the time when you're 62, 65, 67, and you decide, okay, it's time to get out of and age myself out of the workforce, do you have enough to support yourself? Because about 80% of Americans right now, even if they have saved, with inflation, the cost of everything that's going up, they're not able to. They're going to have to go out and get a job even in their retirement. You know, this is why for many years now, at least the last decade, we have seen senior citizens be greeters at Walmart, not because they didn't want to save, but because they kind of, in so many ways, did not have the necessary skill set, because we required a low skill set in order to be able to operate in the old economy. That when it came time for retirement, they didn't have anything, and now they have to work until the day they die. I know there's a 75-year-old man at the shelter he's 75 years old, gets Social Security, and still goes out and works a full-time job. Okay, why is a 75-year-old man doing that? I'm sure that the man seems very astute as far as saving and stuff like that. And part of it is he just likes to work. But the other part of it also is that because of how everything's going up and the cost of living, he's not able to to support himself and his family. And so, he's got to go do what he's got to do. And bushcraft, yeah, I don't plan on retiring either. When I get older, I still want to do something productive. But again, are you going to have enough put aside so that you're not forced to work? You work because you want to, not because you have to. And that is ultimately the goal of retirement, is to work because you want to, not because you have to. Okay, and so that's really, I think, as far as retirement planning, that's really what I think is important. Okay. So, now we're moving into a point, especially with technology, where my old man, he refuses to learn technology. Like, he wants the latest and greatest. He's got one of those Oculus goggles, and he does the VR thing, and he sits back and he plays his video games. But if you ask him to learn anything about technology, he ain't going to do it. And there may come a point where technology moves at such a fast pace that if you don't catch up, and if my old man don't catch up, by the time he's 70 years old, he won't even be able to operate in society anymore, just to be able to accomplish his basics like banking, because it's going to require biometrics, it's going to require this, he's going to have to know how to do this and that and the other, and it may be more complicated than he wants to deal with, but yet him being in his retirement, this is kind of what he's thinking about. Okay, so it looks like I'm starting to get to that point where it's starting to lag. So this is kind of the point where I'm going to have to start worrying about closing it up. But I want to answer some of these questions before I start closing up. Okay, so hold on. Let me close this off. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right, so Andrew, the repetition really helps me. Also, one interesting thing to look at is instances where we humans have tried to get involved with the balance of nature and it didn't work out. Yeah, we're kind of experiencing that right now. That was the negative aspect of the Industrial Revolution, is that we thought as a society, or as a people, as a civilization, that we could use technology to put ourselves above nature, but forgetting that we are bound by nature because we depend on nature for our resources. The introduced species to help control another species. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and bushcraft, what you said, so you never plan to to retire. Met many people that pass away right after they retire. Yeah, you know, a funny story about my old man. So he did 20 years in the Army, right? And so he sits on the couch for about 6 months. And all of a sudden, they think he has a stroke. He goes down to San Antonio, and they start doing tests on him. Turns out, because he'd been in the Army for 20 years and he'd been so active, the fact that he sat down and was really doing nothing but watching TV, you know, he has to work for the rest of his life. So I always make fun of him. The laziest man I know has to work for the rest of his life, because we get to working for so long that at a certain point, we don't, you know, our health and our way of survival means that we may have to work for the rest of our life. Okay, so this is just something that you and I and us as individuals, you know, we have to take into account. This is why I say I don't think I will ever retire, but I like working. I like being productive. I like learning, and I like, you know, educating myself. Those are my passions in life, and now I get to share that with you as well. Okay, so I hope that you guys, Bushcraft, thank you for sticking around and for being a loyal subscriber. I truly appreciate you, and all of you that stick around and become loyal subscribers. I hope that this does not, that you guys are able to grow and evolve with me and see the benefit and the value in this channel. And I hope that you guys are able to learn something and to get yourselves prepared for what is coming in the future. Because, you know, even though we don't like Klaus Schwab, however you may feel about him, he was correct when he said we are in the middle of a fourth industrial revolution. It's not the industrial revolution like what we saw in the 1850s. It's a technical industrial revolution, because we are advancing at such a fast pace that if the new society does not step up, the new society is not going to be able to be prepared and to be able to stick through all of this. Okay, so you guys know how to help the channel. If you haven't hit the like button, please don't forget to hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, I would like to encourage you to become a subscriber and to follow me on my journey. If you want to help out the channel more than just becoming a subscriber and hitting that like button and leaving comments and you know, hitting that bell notification, which those are all free things that you can do, and those are just as important as, you know, leaving a financial contribution. But if you would like to, and you feel that you would like to contribute financially to the channel, which kind of helps me, you know, I got to do my research. I got to be able to sit inside somewhere, which I have to buy coffee, I have to buy a drink, I have to buy food, you know, and then I can't go to the food lines because I'm too busy working. And if I take the 2 and 3 hours out of my day to go work or to go to a food line, then I lose out on that productivity that I could be doing to not only better the channel, better the content, and bring you guys a superb product. You know, that will slow me down. So when you guys contribute to me financially, I have somebody who contributes to me every month, and I don't know who you are. I think I know who you are, but I gotta say I truly appreciate it, because it has made my life easier so that I can sit in a place like Panera Bread and afford something to drink, so I can sit in and I can do a live stream on my laptop. Okay, and this is something that I'm really glad that I have the opportunity to be able to do. And because you guys help me out the way that you have, it has been it is making my life easier so that I can bring you guys better quality content. If you haven't noticed, over the last few months, the quality of content has improved dramatically, and it's going to continue to improve as I take the time to be able to do what I do. So again, if you want to contribute financially to the channel, all you have to do is go down in the description. I now have a Bitcoin link if you want to give Bitcoin. Otherwise, you can go through PayPal or CashApp to be able to contribute financially. I'm going to be updating my affiliate links, and so I get a commission off of that as well. So unless you guys have any more questions, which I don't see any more popping up, I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream for this week. I hope that you guys enjoyed the coffee and the sunrise this morning, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the rest of this topic. And I will see you guys in the next live stream. I do it every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and I will see you guys next week.